5 News at noon starts now.
Right now at noon, it's day 2 in a capital murder trial for a man accused of killing his wife. 5 News reporter Bo Russell is at the courthouse with the latest information for us. Plus, today is the day the Senate is set to vote on a funding bill, a last effort to avoid a government shutdown. Well, thank you for joining us for your 5 News at noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with Danny Cassidy.
Hello.
Hello. We were just talking about this morning. There was a little chill in the air.
Yeah, a little bit of a chill in the air.
Around 7 a.m. You needed a little jacket.
Yeah, it's a little bit cool out there these mornings, right? But the crazy thing is we should actually be about 5 or 7 degrees cooler than we actually are. But I think it's just been warm, relatively speaking, for a lot of September. Now, as we're heading into October, we're going to continue this warming trend. We'll show you what's going on outside your neck of the woods. We're seeing a mostly cloudy sky, but a few peaks of sunshine because a lot of these clouds are kind of the thinner kind. They're low-hanging stratus clouds that sometimes bring a little mist or drizzle. And you might be seeing a little bit of that out there, but overall we're seeing usually pretty quiet conditions due to dry air just above the surface. So notice those temperatures are in the upper 70s, low 80s, again with a little bit of sunshine peeking through. Again, across the region, upper 70s and a few low 80s there in Clarksville is where a Salisa. Now you compare it to this time yesterday, and it's a little bit cooler. You can see about a degree or 2 in northwest Arkansas, a few degrees cooler in the River Valley, so not a massive difference, but that cloud cover, you see the science lessons are checking in that, yeah, it does cool things off a little bit. So you can see that cloud cover building in from the south, and we'll continue to see more clouds kind of hanging around for the rest of the day today, but we will see some sunshine return for us tomorrow, and that's going to warm us back up close to 90 in some spots, and it's continued to be pretty warm and dry, really not only this week, but through much of possibly next week as well. So we'll talk about all that and maybe a stray rain chance coming up on Thursday here in your full forecast. Morgan.
Thanks, Danny. Day 2 of the capital murder trial of Jason Dunigan is underway at the Washington County Courthouse. Dunigan is accused of shooting and killing his wife, Amber Dunigan, in May of 2021. 5 News reporter Bo Russell has been inside the courtroom this morning and is bringing us the latest right now. Bo?
Hey Morgan, yeah, I've been reporting over the last 24 hours that this is a little bit of an unusual capital murder trial. Jason Dunigan, the defendant in this case, is not currently being held in custody and the death penalty has been waived. Now, in a lot of capital murder trials, prosecutors have a weapon or DNA or witnesses to work with, but that's not the case here. So instead, today, they doubled down on digital detective work. Forensic officers with Arkansas State Police showed the jury data they were able to obtain from the Ford Flex that Dunigan was driving the night of Amber's murder. The data shows that Dunigan was going almost 90 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone, leaving the area Amber was murdered at around the same time that she was murdered. Detectives also explained that Dunigan had an advanced security system in his home that happens to be missing footage during the time period that Jason would have arrived home around 8:30 the night of May 28th. Another expert witness who scrutinized both of the Dunigan's phones showed the jury information saying that Jason powered off his phone a few hours before the time of the murder, but then powered it back on shortly after the murder took place. Finally, text messages sent between Amber and another woman living in the Dunigan household show Amber sending a message saying that Jason, quote, paused location sharing on the app yesterday. Now, after Amber and this woman shared text messages about Jason's location data being turned off, Amber would send one more text at around 8:08 p.m. that night, just minutes before she was killed. It was only 2 words: found him. The prosecutors have one more witness to call before they rest their case. Live in Fayetteville, covering news where you live, I'm Bo Russell, 5 News.
All right, thank you so much, Bo. Well, in other news, Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin says his office is cracking down on organized retail crime across the state. He announced the arrest of 4 women accused of pulling off a string of thefts. Griffin says they stole nearly $7,000 worth of merchandise from stores like TJ Maxx and Marshall's in Cabot, Conway, and Little Rock. He estimates these types of crimes cost retailers about $70 billion a year. And he says in the end, those losses get passed on to everyday shoppers.
They were getting luggage and filling it with stuff and closing up the luggage and rolling it out like they were in an airport, like they had some place to go in an airport. Just walk right out the door with everybody looking. If they think that may fly in some jurisdictions, not in Arkansas.
In the last year, 50 people have been arrested in the retail theft crackdown by the Attorney General's office, 91 of them facing felony charges. Senator Brian King held a press conference this morning to discuss filling the seat of the late Senator Gary Stubblefield's. Senator Stubblefield's daughter and niece were in attendance. King says delaying the special election for Stubblefield's seat until after the fiscal session leaves his district without a voice on crucial budget and prison decisions.
If you look at this situation of even moving back this special election to June, you're basically allowing stolen representation. You're trying to steal representation from the people in that Senate district at one of the most crucial times of our state government and one of the most crucial issues.
Tonight, 5 News reporter Claire Everbach will have a full recap of this meeting. Well, new at noon, a new Skyline residential report just released, giving us a snapshot of what's happening in Northwest Arkansas. And we're still going through the details, but these are some of the big takeaways so far. Commercial vacancy rates are on the rise across Northwest Arkansas. Some of the biggest changes are happening in warehouses, retail spaces, and offices, a lot of it tied to national store closures and some large companies moving out. But even with more empty spaces, construction isn't slowing down. New projects are going up all over the region, and permits for new buildings are among the highest seen in years. We'll bring you more insight on this on your 5 News later tonight as we continue digging through that full report. Today, a federal judge will hear arguments in a challenge to Arkansas's new ballot initiative restrictions. The League of Women Voters, along with other advocacy groups, say recent state laws make it nearly impossible for citizens to propose or support ballot measures. The hearing, set for 12:30 today at the federal courthouse in Fayetteville, the groups are seeking a preliminary injunction to block the laws while the case plays out and while they try to get a slate of ballot questions before voters next year. Also today, opponents of the Franklin County Prison Project holding their first meeting since immigration officials toured the site. The Chickamauga Nation, a key opposition group, is pressing for face-to-face meeting with the Sanders administration to argue against the plan. The meeting comes after the governor called a special election to fill the region's vacant state Senate seat, as we mentioned. That vote, as we mentioned, is set for after next spring's fiscal session, and that's when lawmakers will debate prison funding. Governor pushing a 3,000-bed facility to handle the state's growing inmate population and relieve overcrowding in county jails. Fort Smith police will hold a free class tonight on how to respond during active shooter situations. The class will focus on a survival approach called the run, hide, fight method. There will also be a guest speaker who has lived through a real active shooter event. It starts at 6 tonight in the Fort Smith PD Community Room, and you can fill out an online form if you want to reserve a spot. Well, some good news for drivers in Arkansas. The price of gas is trending down, according to Gas Buddy. Right now, Gas Buddy says the price for a gallon of regular gas is $2.69. That's down 6 cents from last week and more than 10 cents down from this time last year. Cheapest gas in the state was spotted at $2.29, while the most expensive hit $3.39. Nationally, gas prices are also falling, with the average just over $3 per gallon. It's looking more likely that our government is headed for a shutdown tonight. Congressional leaders and President Trump failed to reach a deal after meeting at the White House yesterday, and a shutdown could lead to the furlough and firing of large numbers of federal workers. Nicole Killian has the latest.
Come midnight, the federal government is poised to shut down.
I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing.
The vice president and congressional leaders emerged from a brief closed-door meeting with President Trump Monday without an agreement in hand.
For the first time, the president heard our objections and heard why we needed a bipartisan bill.
Republicans have proposed a short-term bill to fund the government through mid-November. The measure passed the House this month.
If the Democrats make the decision to shut the government down, the consequences are on them.
But Democrats say any deal must address health care, including an extension of subsidies under the Affordable Care Act to prevent a premium hike at the end of the year.
Are you open to compromise?
We've said from the beginning that we're willing to find a bipartisan path forward. And our line in the sand is the bill has to help everyday Americans, not hurt everyday Americans.
Across from the Capitol, some federal workers are bracing for impact as the White House has asked agencies to consider more mass layoffs for programs that don't align with the president's priorities if a shutdown occurs.
They've been threatening us since day one and carrying it out. And I think all of us have come to terms with the fact that we might be fired at any time and for any reason.
Jamie Billard's husband is in the Coast Guard and, like many service members, won't be paid until a deal is done.
It's another ask for military families to try to navigate. There's a possibility that your member's not going to get a paycheck for the second half of the month. So it's another plate that you have to keep spinning.
If there is a shutdown, some essential services would continue, like Social Security benefits and mail delivery, but national parks and museums would close. A new economic analysis estimates that a shutdown could cost the U.S. economy about $7 billion a week. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Trump addressed a rare gathering of military leaders this morning at Marine Corps Base Quantico. The meeting, described by defense officials as unprecedented, focused on a new direction for the armed forces. President Trump spoke to top military officials from across the services, calling for a renewed focus on defending the homeland. He emphasized deploying troops and National Guard units in select U.S. cities, while also highlighting new operations targeting drug activity overseas. The president told leaders from across the services that defending U.S. borders must now be the military's top mission.
After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on.
The defense secretary also spoke, calling for increased resources and changes to military fitness and readiness standards. He says the new fitness standards would apply across all ranks, including senior officers.